Hello everyone, I am here. I was just trying to log back into my Facebook account on my computer, but I'm here now. Okay, hi Jane, hi Judy, hi Laurie, how are you all doing? It's a nice evening tonight. It's sunny and blue sky, no wind, it's a perfect evening. Okay, so let me just, there we go. I just have to move the computer so I can see you all and your comments, and I do forget to look at them sometimes, so just bear with me if I don't answer you straight away. So as promised, I'm going to make a couple of alternatives for the paper pumpkin kit. If you don't have the kit, you'll still be able to make the alternatives, so don't worry. And I'm also going to show you how I make some of the bags that I usually put the cards in to sell at craft fairs, or if I give them away to friends. So, oh, chilli there? Oh, -1. No, you keep that, Jane. We had some of that last weekend and I didn't fancy it again. Okay, so I'm actually going to, I've made this one, as you've already seen. I'm actually going to make this one and show you alternatives using this one. And the actual kit goes, it's in the mini catalogue. The actual kit coordinates with something in the mini catalogue. You can't buy it anymore unless they do refills after the 20th. So that would be next Monday, I think it goes. So if they've got any left, they'll put them on the website, but you have to be a Paper Pumpkin subscriber and they go fast. So I don't even know if they have any left. But it coordinates with this paper here, and you can just see this piece of paper peeping out, and that's the same design that the cards are made out of. Now I don't have all of this kit. I have this embossing folder with the wood grain, I have these sequins, I have the organdy ribbon with the little sparkles in, I don't have the velvet paper, and I don't have the stamps and the dies. Honestly, it's beautiful, but I really couldn't justify another lot of Christmas stamps. But I really wish now I'd got this one, because that tiny weeny little die there is the same shaped tree that's on here. So let me see if I can find that in a bigger picture for you. Page 58. I don't know if it'll look any bigger. No, that isn't 58. 68. Oh. Let's have a look, see if you can see it in a bit. Oh, you can see it a teeny weeny bit better. But can you see how it's that funny little shaped tree? And it's just the same on the envelopes and in the set. So that's the things that coordinate with it. And I'm going to get that paper out to show you. This is the piece. Oops. I have used a lot of the paper already. It's really pretty paper, but this is the piece that it coordinates with. And you can see it's got those little silver stars on and everything, little snowflakes, and the card piece itself. See, this is the actual card base. And you can see it's just the same pattern. I think it's, let me see, I don't know, it's a tiny bit smaller. The pattern of the trees is a tiny bit smaller so that it fits on a card base. So if you don't have the Paper Pumpkin kit, you could use this paper and make exactly the same cards that we're making tonight. Okay, let's pop that away. And I'm going to move the envelopes. I do think the envelopes are so pretty. And I love this shaded spruce. You got a little ink spot, but I'm using my big ink pad. And I'm going to, I don't need my envelopes at the moment. I'm going to take out my stamps. This is the card that I made last week when I unboxed. I'll pop that on one side, we don't need that. We are going to need the little embellishments. We probably will need the red twine. Let's have a look what else is in here. Probably not much else that I need. Oh, maybe a backing. So I might need the little banners, these backing pieces. Remember, I used this one piece and the little wood grain piece. See how that matches that embossing folder that I showed you? And the little circle. So I'm probably going to need the circle. Okay, and put these back. Now, you remember when I made this card the other day, I didn't throw away the piece of vellum that they came out of. And actually, I thought you'd be able to use it on one of your cards, just this outline piece, and have, where's one of those little red banners? Here we go. Oops. Sort of have this across here with your little sentiment on as well. And then you could still use this little scrap piece, really. I don't need that. So I've got my stamp set ready. Let's get some blocks out. Okay. Yeah, those envelopes are really pretty, Jane. What I did think, let me just get one back again. What I did think was you could undo the envelopes and you could use this inside pattern, and you could use this piece from the front on the bottom of another alternative card. I wish Stampin' Up! Would do sets of envelopes like this. So it's a patterned envelope. I know you can stamp your own and everything, or you could emboss with little trees, but I wish they would do just patterned envelopes too, because I would love those. Okay, so this is the card base. It's already scored. Okay, and I can make one of the cards up, but because I'm making alternatives, really, you know, I don't need to. Let me find this. Oops. Let me put my camera back. Okay, so it's a really easy card. You just need that green circle that I had a moment ago. Let's see. There it is. It's literally, you need this green circle. You need one of these red banners, these little pendented ends pieces. I don't know where I put the last one I had. And that just goes across here. And then you need a sentiment. And if you don't have the kit, you could use one of our punches to punch out a little piece of white card and write your sentiment on. I do have two that I punched just when I was playing the other day. And that goes on here. And then you've got your little embellishments that would go on next, which have totally disappeared. Well, I can't see them. You all probably can. And then you need just a little bow of the red twine. So that's a really pretty but simple, easy card. Really clean. But I want to use this piece. So I want to get two little cards from it rather than just one. So I'm going to pop these away because I'm not going to use these pieces. And what I am going to do is I'm going to cut this right down the middle on that fold line. So I've got my trimmer, and well, let's see, I'm going to cut it down at 4 1/4 because that would be right in the middle. So I'll just line it up on my trimmer to 4 1/4. So we've now got two card fronts. And this is the full size of a card front. I'm going to be chopping it down just a little bit, but can you see how all of a sudden you can quickly get two cards? I will chop it down just that little bit, so I'll make it 4 across by 5 1/4. That just takes 1/4 inch all the way off. Let's take it up the bottom. So I'm going to make it 5 1/4. I'm not going to throw these away. Don't know what I'm doing with them, but I'm not throwing them away yet. Okay, and then we're going to make this 4. I'm actually going to take it off this end. This is where it was folded over, and I can feel it's just a little bit bent there. So I'm just going to chop that down. Okay, and I'm going to do the same with the other piece while I'm here. Same size ends. I'm going to make it 5 1/4, and I'm actually going to take a little piece off the sky. Yeah, Jane, these papers are so pretty. I'm using them for my like my team social on Friday evening, and I'd cut up so many pieces, and yet, you know, I still had loads left. I couldn't choose which one I was going to cut next because they were just so nice. Okay, so let's take that off there. And Laurie, I know you've asked me something about the Nature's Harvest class. I will get back to you on that. I only saw it just before I was going to do my live, so don't worry, I will get back to you on it. Okay, so if you wanted to just find a card base, pop these on. No, that's perfect size again. You could make yourself using a little piece, I've got some here, a little piece of real red. You could make yourself a little banner. This isn't cut straight, so, you know, don't look at this piece really. Use a little piece for your sentiment, or punch a little piece, you know, so you could put that on here. If you don't have any red twine, what you could also do is use the white twine, and you could use like stamping markers or blends and just colour your twine, or you could use this Simply Elegant trim, this nice pretty silver. I think that would look nice on here. I might use some of that in a moment. So you could easily make the same card, you know, but that gives you two already. But that's not what I'm doing. I keep showing you things and then saying, that's not what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to use this piece first. Okay, and I'm going to make just one of those little easy front flap cards. Really quick, really simple. You don't need many pieces of card for it. You don't really need much in the way of extra supplies, because the picture is going to do all the hard work for you. I will put the sizings on afterwards. I'll try and put a link onto the Facebook Live when it's recorded, just to tell you what sizes I used. Okay, so I'm going to start with a base card. So I'm going to get my thick Whisper White, and I've got all those down here. It's not Whisper White, it's Basic White, isn't it? Okay, so my thick Basic White, and I need just 1/4 of a piece. So it's going to be 4 1/4. I'm just going to cut it right down the middle, pop that piece down, and then 5 1/2. It's not going to be a folding back on the card, it's just going to be a flat piece. Okay, so that will become our card base. Now I'm going to use some of the thinner Basic White. So this is just our normal Basic White, and it is a bit thinner. It's still perfectly fine, it's just that that thick Basic White is great for card bases. Okay. And I'm going to cut, let me just think what I'm going to use this. I'm going to leave the 11 length, I'm going to cut it across at 2 3/4. So 2 3/4. I'll move this piece out of the way, and I'm going to score it at 5 1/2. Okay, so it's like a little mini, a little dinky sort of card. That's going to be the middle of our card. So knowing that I've cut that at 2 3/4, then I'm going to cut my pieces off here, and I'm sort of winging it a little bit. I'm going to cut, if I've got 2 1/2 on there, I'm going to cut 3/4 of an inch off each side. So let's just line that up here, and let me just see, yeah, 3/4 of an inch will work. Okay, so there's one. I'm going to turn it round, pop it back in, measure it up the other side. Okay, and there's 2. I don't need any more at the moment. I am just going to use my bone folder and just flatten that little mini card that we've made. Okay. And then let's find some tape. I'm going to pop this. This is our middle piece, and it'll measure 2 1/2 inches across. I'm going to pop that right in the middle of that folding card on the front. Let's get that working. Oh, I wonder if it's empty. Doesn't want to turn round. Let's see. Let me just find my silicone mat, see if I can get it to go on my silicone mat. Yep, there we are. If in doubt, just put your silicone mat down. Always seems to get it rolling. And this paper, once you get it cut, you see it's quite a thick paper. It's not a thin designer series paper, and that's because it's a speciality paper. Any of the papers in the catalogues that say speciality, it usually means that they've got like sparkly gold or silver, you know, like foil accents on, and it always seems a little bit thicker to me. Okay, now let's get that base back. So this will go right in the middle of our card here, and you will open this piece instead. So these are the pieces that we trimmed off, and all you have to do is remember which side you trimmed it from, and we're going to put it on that little single base piece at each side. Okay, and you'll have that nice little border all the way round. Let's just pop some tape on here. Oh, I think that's going to play up this evening. I'm going to go back to my liquid glue. Let's turn that round. I'm just checking that I've got the right piece. Yeah. And then you just line it up so that you've got a little border all the way around. Like this. Okay, I'm going to do exactly the same with the right hand side. This is a really fast way to make alternatives. Okay, let's pop that on at that side. Oops. Let's make it straight. Okay. And then we're going to glue the back of this little mini card. So all across here, we'll put adhesive. I'm sure you're all still here. You're just quietly watching me. Okay, Judy, that's nice. Yeah, thank you for joining us. And catch up with the replay. If you've got any questions after you've watched the replay, just give me a shout. Okay, so this is the card that it will make, and then we'll just put our sentiment across the front. We've got that little red banner piece, and I'm going to pop just the Merry Christmas on it. And I might do a little piece of twine, and that's probably all I'm going to do. I don't want to cover up too much of the trees, so I think we'll just do it like this. And let's see, might pop it up on dimensionals. Okay, so I'm going to glue this piece down, and I'm going to put the Merry Christmas piece up on dimensionals. And like I said, if you haven't got the banner piece, just a little piece of real red cardstock, just looks like it's 1/2 inch wide, and you can pennant the ends, or you can use the little banner punch that will do that. Let's find some dimensionals and pop this on. Might just pop those across like this. Oh, I'm just going to put one top and bottom. Let's see, might do it like that. That way it won't go saggy. Just put that one over there like that. So when you've got such pretty paper like this, you don't need to do much else. You don't need to do a lot of stamping, you don't need to do a lot of decorating. Oh, I'd like that to go down a little bit more. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to find that twine that I had, the little silver twine. And let's make a tiny bow. Let me see if I can find my little bow maker. Okay. So if you have that designer series paper, you can cut the designer series paper down to just have this little piece of the pattern on, and then you've got yourself a great little layout and a nice little pattern just for your cards. And really, it doesn't have to say Merry Christmas. You can make them into New Year cards, birthday cards. Let me just see. I think I'm going to put it right up here, the other side. Yeah, I'm going to pop it on a little glue dot. You know, don't you, that if I'd done this Facebook Live tomorrow, we'd have made 2 different cards. So, it's just whatever I think of at the time. I wonder what tomorrow's cards would have been. Let's make sure that's poked. Just got a little bit of the glue dot sticking out. There we go. I didn't want it to catch on anything. So there's a really easy little card. You could stamp inside on this piece. It'd be nice if you just did a whole line of trees, and if you did them in the smoky slate, that would look really pretty. In fact, I wish I'd thought of that, but let's see if I can stamp them on. I don't have smoky slate on my desk, so I'll do it later. But there's a first little card, just a little front flap card. Usually I make these landscape, but I think it looks quite nice portrait too. Okay, so that's our first card. Now the second card, I'm going to use that other card front, and again I'm going to chop it down. I'm going to take that 1/4 inch off all the way around. So I'm going to make it, just feel, okay, so I'm going to make it 4 inches. And, oh, I already did I? By 5 1/4. Oh, I already did it. What shall we make this time? Let's make a gatefold card. Okay, so let me get a base first. We're going to need the grey smoky slate, I think is the matching colour. Let me find my card. I got all my card out. I got the basic grey, smoky slate and grey granite, but I'm pretty sure it would go with that. But I think I like it with the smoky slate, so let's use that. Okay, ooh, that was 2 pieces. Right, and I'm just going to cut it in half. I'm not going to do any scoring because I'll make it. Jane, yeah, me too. I'll make it so that it's a gatefold card, so we don't need it scored down the middle. I'm just going to cut it at 5 1/2. Put this piece on one side, and then for a gatefold card, you score at 2 1/8 on each side. Now, I only have that in my mind because I made a gatefold card last weekend for the casually crafting challenge, so I still have that 2 1/8 in my mind. So here we are at 2, and move it along to 1/8, and I'm just going to score. And rather than working out what it should be at the other side, I'm just turning it round. Make it at 2 1/8 again. Okay. Yeah, okay. Now I'm going to put a little white border on. So let me find the rest of that white that we had, that thinner white. And I will need 2 inches by 5 3/8. So let's see. So I'm going to just chop these down at 2 inches. I only want a tiny weeny border because I don't want to cut any more of that tree paper off. So I don't want to lose my little grey trees. Okay, so there's 2 inches, and to give me that tiny little border, I'll need 5 3/8. So 1 2 3. And this way I don't have to lose too much of the paper. Okay, let's throw those pieces out. And then let me have a look. I'm just going to double check on my little gates that I've made, or the little doors. Yeah, that works. So then my designer series paper, I'm going to cut this down, and it will be 1 7/8 because it was 2 1/8, and I'm going down a 1/4 inch. So let's let's see, so 1 7/8. You know, I could have made this so much easier for myself and just not put an extra layer in. Okay, I want the pieces that sort of look like they match. So I'm going to cut up this side, 1 7/8. Just take a tiny bit of that tree off. I'm not throwing these away. I don't know what I might do with them, but I don't want to throw them away. So I've kept the whole of the pattern going across. And then let's get those white pieces back. I'm just going to double check that they fit with a tiny little white border around. It's not a 1/4 of an inch border, but it's a nice little border. Yeah, that will work. Okay, so let's get our gatefold. So here's the piece that I scored at 2 1/8. I'm just going to turn it over and fold these pieces in. And the same with this one. Okay, I will need a white piece for inside. Let me get that white again. Actually, this is a piece of the thick that I cut, but that'll be fine. I'm just going to cut it down to 4 by 5 1/4. Now you know how I design cards. I get lots of things out on my desk, and when I'm planning for a class, I just play with pieces of cards and pieces of paper and see what comes up. Okay, so that will go on the inside. Let's pop that in. You could stamp on here. You could, put those little trees on the inside. You could do another sentiment. You could even use some of those little scraps of paper that we've cut off. That may be quite nice. Those little tiny offcuts that we had. Okay. Now, I'm just triple checking myself that I've got enough. Yeah. Okay. So let's pop these pieces of Designer Series paper. Oh, what are you designing, Jane? What's all on your desk? You're making Christmas cards? I'm still in the midst of planning my Christmas classes and my Christmas social. And just which classes I'm going to run in November and December. So my desk and my floor are both full. Okay, let's pop this down here. There we go. Okay, now I'm just going to check. They go that way, don't they? Yeah. So then you just put one on each side. And you've seen me make gatefold cards before, and they're not anything new. They're just sort of an easy one to make. And I like that they just open a bit differently. So when the recipient gets it, it always looks different to any other cards they might have got. Like when I make my pop-up cards and things. And Jane's been watching me a long time. She's been with me a long time. She knows how much I like pop-up cards. And I know she started to make pop-up cards too after I'd shown them a few times. So it's I love pop-up cards. I just like different fancy folds. Okay, so there's our front. And let's see. I've got lots of these pieces of card from when I make my my inserts. When you make this from a full sheet of paper, you get one long piece and two small pieces like this. So I'm going to use that for the sentiment, and I'm going to use a different sentiment that we haven't already used. So let's just go down here. Oh, that's not the card I want. That's the thick card. This is the thin card. And there's one on here that I really like that says "From my house to yours" or "From our home to yours." I like that one. So let's pop it on here. And I'm not quite sure if I'm going to want it in the middle or at the side. So I'm going to right in the middle of my card for now. I'm going to stamp it near the bottom. That looks fairly straight. I'm sure you've made more than one or two, Jane. I'm sure you've made lots of pop-up cards. Okay, now where's that little piece of red I had earlier? Here we go. Let's trim this down because it's a wonky piece. Let's just trim it down. What does this measure? Let's make it measure 1/2 inch. And I'm pretty sure that's what the white ones measure. Well, I know it is really. Yeah, 1/2 inch. Okay. And so this is going to be our little sentiment, and I want it to go near the bottom because I want to see all those trees again. So I think I'm going to cut it about here. Let's find some scissors. Let's just do a little angle. I could have made a banner cut, but oh, let's make it a bit nearer the writing. Okay. And I'm going to cut it over here. I don't know quite how long I want it yet, so I'll leave a little bit of room. And then I'm just going to put the red underneath it. So I'm going to make that same angled cut. I'm going to measure it up like this and just chop it off. Let's make that the same. I'm not sure if this is the right length, but okay. I'm just going to bone fold those down as well. I don't want them to keep popping up. There we go. Okay, so if we do something like this, let's put the red at the bottom. See how much we need. Okay. I'm going to make them like that, and I'm going to make them the same length. So I want them to just go onto there. Actually, I might not need to cut that one too much. You probably can't see where my finger, because of my fingers, can you? Okay, I'll leave it for a sec, and I'm going to glue it and then decide if we need to trim any more off. Okay, and I'm just going to have it so that there's just a little bit poking out at the bottom and the same amount at the side. And we'll straighten it up. Oop, a bit too far. Come back. There we go. Okay. Now let's see. I think I'm just going to trim it level with the red. Right, now we need something else on there. So we'll make it so that this only attaches to the left hand side, but I need something else. Let's have a little look at my box. Let's find some foil card. Sorry, I just have to stand up and reach right over here. What have we got in here? I wonder if we've got some silver foil card. Oh, yeah, silver, gold. Oh, look, that's with that embossing folder from a card we made a little while back. I know I've got the deer up here because I've been using him. Let's see if he'll fit in that one. Okay, so I'm just going to punch him out. Oh, I might want him to go the other way. Not sure. So let me just punch him out again, but going the other way. So just punch it on the back instead. Lots of little pieces on my desk now. Okay, so this would go here, and I'm gonna. Oh, let's have him looking this way. Let's see how we're gonna get him to fit It will just fit on like that, look. Okay, so if I think I won't glue him onto the sentiment, I'll just put him on dimensionals. So I'm going to glue the sentiment on and then pop him on. So you only need to glue the left hand side of your card. Thanks, Jane. Yeah, doesn't it make it easy when you can just put that copy paper, fold it in half, and then just slide it back over that designer series paper and cut out the deer that go the other way. So easy. Okay, now let's put this little deer on with the dimensionals that I've pressed already. There they are. Oops, just make sure that's glued down. Okay, now I'm going to pop him here. There's just enough room on the writing for him. So if I put just a couple on his body and one on his head, it doesn't matter that his feet are not going to be glued down. Might need a mini dimensional for his head. Pop that in the middle. Take these little backings off. Let's put this here. I don't want to put him over the writing, so there we go. Oh, and let's see if we can get those little antlers on. I should have done that earlier, shouldn't I? I don't know if they glue over the top. Do they glue over the top or underneath? Does anybody know? No, I'm not quite sure. I think they probably go underneath. But I think I'm a bit late to stick them on. Maybe with a glue dot. Let's try. Let's try this. So I'm just putting it on the very bottom of that antler and rolling it over. Stick it under there. Push it up from the bottom and then I know it's stuck on. There we go. Let's do the same with the other one. How are we doing for time? Oh, 6:38. Plenty of time to make a box. Plenty of time. Okay, so let's stick that on the bottom again. Fold it over. And, oops, just sticking up a little bit far. Did you all see that there's a sale tomorrow? That one-day sale for cling stamps only. So all the red rubber cling stamps in the annual catalogue, apart from the hostess ones, they've all got 15% off tomorrow. So if you are looking at some things in the annual catalogue, then tomorrow is the day to buy. Because with that extra 15% off, it makes a big difference. Let's find, I was going to put some of the little embellishments on that came with it. But let's find those little red ones that we had last week, just for his nose. And see how that looks. And I promise you we're going to make a bag in a minute. So let's see. Just thinking whether it will just catch and go with this little red bit or whether we don't need it. And then let's pop some of these on. I think we'll pop two over here and we'll just put one at the other side. You can just see them sparkling. It's getting a little bit dark now, but you can just see them sparkling. Not sure what that would be like with a little white nose instead. Let's take that little red one off. Stick it over there. And let's give him a little sparkly white nose. Oh, that looks sweet. Okay, so there's my two alternatives for the paper pumpkin. Oh, let's move that little piece. So a little simple front flap card and a little really simple gatefold card. And if you just stamp a picture in here, just little trees or another little sentiment, I think that would be really sweet. Okay, now let me show you how to make the bag that I love to use for the for these kind of cards. So I'm going to need another piece of my smoky slate. So, excuse me while I just pick one up. Let me move these things over so I've got a bit more room, because I'm going to need my scoreboard. So let's just make a space. Okay. And I don't need my stamps again at the moment, but I will need these in a moment. Okay. So you start off with just one piece of the smoky slate, and it's just a normal size. Okay, and we're going to use the trimmer to cut it down to 6 by 11. Now it's already 11 down this length, so you just cut a piece off at 6. So it's a little bit wider than a card base, and that's just so that you can get your cards and the sort of the envelopes in. Okay. Oh, let's move that little piece. Now on the long side, let's turn it round so it's landscape. On this long side, we're going to score at 4.5 and 6.5. So let's pop it in at 4.5. And then I need to open my trimmer. And I'm going to do it at 6.5. There we go. Okay. Oops. I don't need that again for a few minutes. Now often what I'll do is I'll put this through like an embossing folder, and I'll do this half first and then this half just by folding it in half, and I might emboss this. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll put designer series paper on, but today I'm just going to put on just a little scoreline pattern. Okay, so, and I'm only going to go from the top to this first score line. And all I'm doing is popping it in here, and I'm just going to go at 1/2 inch all the way down and all the way along. And this way it just gives you a little bit of a pattern. If you only have the trimmer, if you don't have a scoreboard like this, then you can do this in your trimmer as well, just on the using the score blade. Just that I find it easier to use this when I'm doing lots of lines, because you can see all of them. Okay, I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to do the other half. So at 1/2 inch again. Now you could make these just however wide you want. And I know that you've seen me sometimes, I'll do this kind of a pattern on a card, especially if I'm doing white on white and you just need a little bit of something. This just gives you a little bit of texture. So if you don't have a cut and emboss machine and you can't put it through on an embossing folder, this is a quick and easy little extra way to do it. Now I don't do it on the bottom just because when I'm putting an embossing folder in, it only fits this kind of size, like a card base size. And also you're not going to see the bottom because literally it's the bottom of the bag and nobody's going to be looking at it. So let's pop that away. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it over. So here's my scored side. I'm going to turn it over and fold it in, and then just go over with my bone folder just to make that a really nice crisp edge. And I've made these in all sorts of sizes, depending on what kind of cards you want to put in and how many. If you want to put more in, you can't make this base piece any wider and then still keep these sides the same. You just make these sides a little bit smaller. So, you know, instead of doing 4.5 and 6.5, you could do 4 inches and 7, and that just gives you that extra little bit if you want to put maybe 10 cards in. So you've got something that almost looks like a book cover. Next, you need a couple of pieces of the basic grey cutting for your sides, and I have actually got some of those already. Right, I've only got one, so let me get another one. In fact, actually, no, I think these both would work. Yeah, these both would work. Okay. So So what you do with this is you have a little piece of card 4 inches by 3 inches, and you score at 1/2 inch on each side. Now you can see that I've actually got lines going all the way down these pieces because this was cut from another project. So it was scored exactly the same as this, because I've already made a couple of bags for some of my other cards to go in, and I happen to use this same colour. Okay, so fold in just at 1/2 inch. Don't be confused by these other little lines that I put on, because they're just for decoration. I'm going to use my bone folder and go down, bone folder and go down. And the nice and tight folds that you have on these make a difference when your bag is finished. So don't be afraid to put it down, you know, and go over it a few times. Okay. Now it's not a bag box where you have to, you know, cut little bits off the bottom and fold pieces under. You literally just put them on the inside, just a 1/4 inch in, and you tape these sides up, or you use liquid glue. It doesn't go right to the top, and that's because I want to put a piece of designer series paper across the top here, and I'm going to choose something that would coordinate with these cards. And there's one piece in there that just has these stars on, and I thought that would be perfect. So let me just find it. So let me just see. Here it is, look, it's this one. So it's the one with the plaid on the back, or like the buffalo check on the back, and it is just snowflakes. And you don't need very much. We only need 2 little pieces to go across the top. So let me find my trimmer again. So my DSP, I just need it to be 6 by 2 inches. So I'm going to cut a 12 by 2 inch piece. So I'm just going to go the whole length of the paper, cut a 2 inch piece off. This hasn't got a direction, so it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to turn it over, and let me just see. No, in fact, I'll keep it this way, and I'll do my scoring first. So I'm going to put it at 1, and I'm just going to score a line all the way down at 1 inch, so that it's just in half. Okay, so it's a 2 inch piece, and I've scored it at 1. And then I'm going to just cut it in half again, so each piece will be 6 inches long. And that's all we need. Let's move this paper back out of the way. And these are going to go over the top of here. So we'll fold it in half. I'm going to go down with my bone folder. I don't know if you've made bags and boxes like this, but it's a really simple way to create. Okay, so all you need to do is glue that on. But if you put those sides in first, this would be difficult, because it would go over the top of the sides. Now you can do this with tear and tape, you can do it with your liquid glue, whatever you want. Usually I like to do things like this with liquid glue, so that I can just move it about a bit if I need to. If I haven't got it quite straight, doesn't matter, I can wiggle it round and then sort of push the card into it. Okay, let's go over with the bone folder again. Okay, so that's one side. I'm going to do exactly the same on the back. So here's our other 6 inch by 2 inch piece, scored at 1 inch, folded down the middle. Okay, it's a really easy bag, Jane. It's a bit of a cheap bag, but doesn't take much doing. You don't have to do an awful lot of cutting and folding and mitering corners. So when I used to do a lot of craft fairs, I would make lots of bags like this, and I could sell sort of 6 cards in a quick and easy little bag. Okay. So you now have 2 pieces like this. If you had a thicker designer series paper, you could use that as the whole base, but I find that it quickly it crumples, or people will maybe put a card in a little bit more rough, and it will poke a hole in. So that's why I like to do it on card with just a designer series paper piece as a decoration. But there's nothing to stop you putting designer series paper here, especially if you've got a pattern like these trees. That would look really pretty going across too. Okay, now I've got my little pieces here. I'm going to get my tear and tape just to make it a little bit quicker. And it's getting dark here, so I want to still be able to see it. Okay, so I'm going to pop my tear and tape just down. And put it on the edge there. And same with these pieces. So I'm putting it nearer to the folded edge. Okay. And I'm actually going to put some liquid glue on as well. And the reason is, if you have tear and tape and you're making 3D projects, I often do this for my scrapbooking or my journal making. If I put liquid glue on as well, it means that you can just move it around a little bit. And once it sticks down, the liquid glue is much stronger than the tear and tape, and it means you get a better bond. But it just gives you that little bit that you can wriggle around with it. Okay, so I'm going to stick it onto this edge, but not right at the edge. I'm going to leave sort of 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to line it up to this first fold line here. And can you see how I've got maybe 1/8 of an inch there? It's not even 1/4 of an inch. Okay, then I'm going to fold the base up, and I'm going to pop this piece over, and I'm quickly going to turn it over so that I can get just that same little gap down the side. Okay, I think that's actually a little bit wider. So I'm just going to undo it. See, if I'd only put the tear and tape on, I wouldn't have been able to undo that quite as easily. And then I'm just going to go on the inside with my bone folder, turn it over. Okay, so there we've got that little piece in. And it doesn't matter that there's this gap here, because once your cards are in, that's going to stay closed. So same again, I'm going to take off my tear and tape. Yeah, it's a trick that I think lots of people do, Jane, with the tear and tape and a little bit of liquid glue. I learnt it a long time ago, but it just means that you can manoeuvre things around a little bit. So if it's not quite straight, you're not trying to undo a piece of tear and tape and tear in your bag or your box. Okay, so this time, because we've already got this side folded, it can be a little bit more tricky to pop in, but honestly, you just lift this piece up and it makes it easy. Okay, so that's that side. I'm going to fold this box over, make sure it's the same on this side too. Go down with that little bone folder, and it's already dry. It's not like you're just waiting for the liquid glue to dry, because that tear and tape is holding it. Okay. Now, while that is drying, I'm just going to make some decoration for it. I've got some of the snowflakes from the Whimsy set, which I'm going to put one of those on the front, but I knew I wanted to use my evergreen punch, this border punch, and so I'm going to need a little bit of our black. I love this glitter paper, and I don't need very much, probably only about 1.5 inches. See, it's only, let's see what that measured. That measures at 1.25 inches, so I don't need to have a lot of extra card. So I'll just cut it probably just a little bit more than 1.5 inches. Let's pop this in, and I'm gonna cut the whole piece off. I don't need all of it, but I know I'm going to need about 6 inches, because this is 6 inches. But all I'm going to do, you can put this in wherever you want to. I like to start with my piece on this edge here. And then just close. Okay, so you get a little piece like this. And the beauty of these punches is all you do next is you line these ones up that you've already cut. Don't push it right down to the bottom like here, else your trees will be on a wonky line. So just put it over the picture, just line it up and punch again. And this way you know that it's all going to be level and it's going to punch the trees perfectly. I didn't really need as long a piece as this, but we'll just keep cutting this. Okay, so I'm just going to move these little pieces out of the way. And I'm going to carry on cutting just until we've got the whole piece cut. Okay, so I'm just going to cut on here. Okay. Now I know I only need about 6 inches, so let's stop cutting there. Let's see. I'll chop this off from here. Okay, and you see I've got this little line as well. I'm actually going to use that. And let's get rid of all these little pieces. But with the tree ones, I found that actually the piece that you cut off, you can turn round and it makes other little trees. So you can use both sides. There's not as much waste as you think. Okay. Now, this little piece of tree, oh, I'm just going to choose which I want for the front and which I want for the back, and there's nothing in it. So I'm going to do this. This little piece of tree, I just want to see where to stop this. Okay, I'm going to take a little tiny bit off this tree here, just a weeny bit, and that should measure the 6 inches. Yeah, but you can see when you put it down that it's curvy, and I don't really want it to be wobbly at the bottom. So this other little piece that I cut off, I'm going to stick that on first, and then I'm going to put my trees on the top. You see, so it makes it a little bit higher up, and also I've got that nice straight line across the bottom there. So let's put this on. Might as well just glue the box, and then I can easily trim. Let's see, and it doesn't matter that this top piece isn't quite straight. It's got a little tiny edge on there, and that's fine because our trees are going to cover that up. Pop that down so it's right at the bottom, and then let's put our trees on the top. I'm going to go down at the bottom of the trees, and I'm not going to glue every piece of tree. I'm just going to put a little line. I don't mind if it sticks off a little bit because it, you know, then it just gives a little 3D effect. Oops. So let's pop this on here. Okay, so now we've got a little row of trees, and then I'm going to put my little snowflake on, and then where's that other little deer that we cut out? Where's he gone? Here he is. Here he is, stuck on here, look, under there. So all I'm going to do, oh, let's pop that down. It's just sticking up at the side there. All I'm going to do is I'm going to put this little snowflake on. I'm going to put a dimensional on underneath, and I think I'll use the big dimensionals again, and just have to look for which is the pearly side. Oh look, that's sort of like the same sort of size as the big one. I wasn't sure if it would be too big, but no, it's just right. Okay, I'm going to pop this over here, and then with our little deer, I'm not going to put him on dimensionals as well, because I think he might stick out too far. Let's just see. Oh, no, I think he'll be okay actually. So I'll put the 2 big ones there, and then let me find a little one again. I've got some little pieces as well. Let me just chop a little piece off instead. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking for a long time today, ladies. Spent a long time making cards, I am sorry. I've nearly finished. I don't think I took the backings off. Why won't that stick? I think it's past my bedtime. And then let's get a couple more of those little embellishments. Where did they go? Where's the little silver ones? I can see the red ones. I don't want the red ones. I want the little silver ones. Where have you gone? Not sure. Not sure. Once I can see them, I would just put a little few of those little rhinestones on. Now, to make it into a bag, all you need to do is to use your little hole punch, and you can punch 2 holes here and put a ribbon through, and 2 holes here and put another little ribbon through, so it makes a little bag. Now, I won't keep you any longer because it is already 7 o'clock. But yeah, just 2 little bits. Probably I would use the little organdy ribbon that comes with this set because it's glittery. But it would be really nice even with a black ribbon or a grey ribbon, or even if you wanted to put the little red, real red on, that would look nice. And then all I do is I get maybe 4 or 6 cards and envelopes. I'll just put a few envelopes in to show you. It is better with a little ribbon on. Okay, so here we go. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. And the little envelopes fit in perfectly. And then you just pop your cards in. And once you've got your ribbon on, sometimes I'll make a little tag just so that I can write the person's name on. Oh, I found these, look. They're everywhere all the time. Let's put some over here. What I've done sometimes as well is I've used that raffia, you know, the sort of like paper raffia, but the thicker one, so that it's like, it almost looks like straw, but it's not straw. I've used that and used those for handles too. So there we go. Let's pop that there. Okay, you could certainly put a little sentiment on too. I'll just put that there because it's not glued on, but you could certainly put a little sentiment on as well. But it really does make a simple little box. Real red ribbon would be lovely. I've got a tiny piece on my desk. I haven't got the whole reel on my desk, but yeah, look. See? And then you've got just your little handles. I usually put mine quite far apart because that makes it easier for people getting the cards out. I find if you put it like this, the ribbon itself tends to flop over, whereas if you put it taut and a little bit further apart, it means, you know, it's not going to flop over and it's not going to bother your cards. But it holds them really nicely in there, and it's just a little bit different. It's a really simple box bag to make. Okay, ladies, well, I'm going to love and leave you. Let's find those 2 alternative cards. I hope you'd have a go, Jane, because you've got that paper already. I hope you'll have a go and make the cards just with the paper. I don't know if you've got the paper pumpkin set, but as I said, just with the paper, you don't actually need that paper pumpkin set. And I'm sure you've got lots of stamps with sentiments on that you could use. But thanks so much for joining me, ladies. Have a great evening, and I'll see you all again next week. If you have any requests of things that you'd like me to make, just drop me a line, and I'm always open to doing little things that you need to know how to make, or if you want to see a technique, just let me know. Hi Janet, I'm sorry I didn't know you were there, but it's nice to see you. So, oh, you have that paper. It's really pretty. It really is pretty. I've used a lot for our team social coming up this weekend, and I used the ones with these trees. It had the big glittery tree and then the small ones, and I saved all the big pieces. I don't know quite what I'm going to do with those ones yet, but it was pretty. And then I love this one. I thought I didn't like this one as much. It wasn't my favourite. But you know what? I cut out some card-based fronts for this, and I coloured in the little cabins and I coloured in the trees, and it made it so pretty. So it's really, really a nice set of paper. Oh, that's okay, Janet. That can shake a card would be really nice, but shh, that's what we're making at my team social. Just don't tell them. So we've got the little sequins that go with this set, and the nice tree paper, and we're going to make shaker cards. But yeah, so we only made 2 cards this evening, Janet. We made paper pumpkin alternatives. We made like a little front flap from half of the card base, and the other half card base we made just a little simple gatefold card. And then a little box that we can put them all in, and you could give them as a gift like this. And the only bit I didn't get to do was to put the ribbon on. And Jane suggested the real red ribbon. You just hole punch over here, or you could use a piece of card stock, and you could just loop it over as well. It doesn't have to be ribbon. But thanks for joining me, and it's always nice to see you, and it's always nice to craft with you. So I'll see you all again next week. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Bye. Bye-bye.